Good morning, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Pat and Paul Show, episode number 28, with a lot on the plate. Again, guys, we have a Phillies team that came back and with a huge win yesterday. We have we had a game seven that took place yesterday. There's a lot that took place. We're going to talk about a new president in town for Philadelphia 76ers. So we got a lot going on, and of course we're going to talk predictions, Stanley Cup, NBA Finals. Guys, chime into the show if you haven't done it already. Make sure again, if you're just checking in to the Pat and Paul Show, again, guys, give my man Paul Spencer there and follow on all of the social media platforms, whether you're watching from the TikTok and the YouTube and or wherever, Facebook, wherever you're watching from. Make sure you guys give a follow link. And let's get down to business, Paul. Last night, I want to get right off the top of the bat here. The Philadelphia Phillies with a huge win over those LA Dodgers. Again, this is the measuring stick. What I needed to see with this Philadelphia Phillies team, where are they? Can they measure up to the world champions? Because when you look at that Dodgers team, me and Dave Arnold, and by the way, for everyone who's joined me and Dave Arnold at precisely at 1:30 in the morning. Thank you.
Phew.
Yeah. Thank you. And believe it or not, there were people, and Dave couldn't believe that there were people actually chiming into the show. He said, "Don't people sleep around there?" I said, "No, this is Philadelphia. You don't sleep around here." But anyway, long story short, Phillies come up with a big win. Elmundo Sosa, again, only 3 hits in this game. The Phillies weren't looking too great. Again, they left guys in scoring position. Bases, they dropped the ball on. They didn't score with anybody on. And I thought for sure, once I saw that, game's over. It's done. But Elmundo Sosa comes up with a big home run, deep to center, game over. And then, late in the 8th inning, then you had the Dodgers going, rut-row, we're in trouble. And then there it is. So Philly, get you caught up, Paul. The Phillies are looking okay. They're playing decent baseball. They're 30-28 right now. Your Atlanta Braves are running away with the division.
10-game lead, Pat. 10-game lead on your Phillies, man. 40-19. We're looking pretty good right now as a Braves fan, Pat.
Listen, the Braves are running away. I've already tipped my cap to the Braves, and even with the big comeback win last night over the Dodgers, we really gained no ground because the Braves win. They continue to win.
Yeah, three straight for the Braves right now. After 7-3 in the last 10, so they're playing pretty good ball still.
They're playing good ball. They got a good team, and I thought that was a team that's kind of aging, and they're not, and they just keep on finding ways to win. And like I said, it again, tip my cap to the Braves. They're holding out right now. Like I said, I'm not worried about trying to win the division. Yeah. I'm just trying to worry about winning, getting to a wild card spot because apparently, and now in baseball, you get into that wild card spot, the last one, you can make a deep run if you are winning the division. Seems like you're out of fuel, and that's what kind of happened with the Phillies last year. They look like they were on top of the mountain in the NL East, and then they kind of ran out of fuel. So, but like I said, I got again tip my cap for this Phillies team. Jesus Lazardo yesterday on the hill had 6 Ks, 7 Ks, 6 Ks, gave up 7 hits. Playing okay baseball right now. I'm okay with the Phillies right now. But Paul, I'm going to kick it to you. I mean, like you said, you're as a Braves fan, you're really not looking back behind you, seeing anyone in your rearview mirror. But are you worried about, this could happen to the Braves where they're sitting on top of the mountain and come postseason time, they could be out of fuel?
I mean, Pat, you said it correctly. I mean, you get into the playoffs in the right spot, hot, anything can happen. He's at the lowest seed of the wild card there. Anything can happen. I just want the Braves to go through it healthy. The pitching staff is playing great now, Pat. 40-19. We're looking good. Batting's on point. Young players are coming in here, rebuilding the team, which I love, But the problem is, going through a 162 game season, Pat, you can win the division easily. But once you get to the playoffs, Pat, you're not healthy and you're not hitting correctly. Anything can happen. I just want the Braves to be healthy this year, Pat, because, the last time we won, the World Series, it was great. I mean, they had a huge run in there, beating the top 2 teams in the playoffs to get there. But, Pat, it's a long season. We're not even halfway through this season, Pat. You know.
No, and you're absolutely right. It's a very, very long and dressed season, and it's just for the Phillies, kind of again getting rid of Rob Thompson, move on for their
Mhm.
manager. The kick in the pants that this team needed. Listen, it kind of spoke volumes to the locker room. Like, listen,
Yeah.
guys, if it ain't going to be your coaching, if someone else is, we brought Donnie Baseball in here, a
Mhm.
manager that knows how to win. If it ain't going to be, then someone else is going to have to go. And look, the players know that. Like, they're
Yeah.
next on the chopping block.
Yeah.
So, they know they got to kick things into high gear themselves. But like I said, I'm happy for what this team is and what they're doing.
Mhm.
Whether listen, they're a game and a half out from a wild card spot. It's
Yeah.
going to be tough. And again, you took a game from the world champions. If you look at that Dodgers lineup 1 through 9, I
Oh,
mean, me,
same.
that is Merce Row. I
Yeah.
mean, you're running against a juggernaut. You
Yeah.
got Muncie, you got Will Smith, you got Mookie Betts. I mean, Otani,
Freeman. Yeah.
Freeman. I mean, it's a pitcher's
Yeah.
nightmare.
Yep. 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 Now, Pat, I want to ask you something real quick. How do you feel about today's game? I'm Japanese. I love Yamamoto on the hill. I mean, he's 4-4 this year, Pat. Not the greatest pitcher this year. From what we've seen last year in the World Series, coming out there, lights out. Coming off the bench and actually finishing a game there, Yamamoto. But how do you feel about him versus Painter today, Pat?
How
Painter 1-5, Pat. Painter's 1-5 this year.
it's funny because everybody thought Painter was going to be this savior. You're just want to watch the growth of this kid and all that. First game, opening game. But again, what do these coaches get paid to do? They get paid millions of dollars to figure out how to slow you down.
Mhm.
And he's done okay, but like you said, 1-5. His last start only had 3 Ks, gave up 7 hits. I mean, not the best of his stuff. You're getting Momoto today. Also had 3 hit. Gave up. He had 3 strikeouts on it, so gave up 7 hits in his last game. But like I said, we'll see what happens. If they get to Painter early,
Yeah.
you can forget it. You might as well just take the remote and flip it to something else because it's going to be a long day. And that's what I thought for sure yesterday. But
Yeah.
it depends if this offense can get to the dot. It depends what offense gets clicking
Mhm.
first, who can set the tone of the game, all
Gotcha.
that stuff.
Gotcha.
We got a couple
Pat,
comments.
real quick before you
Yeah.
comment, I want to throw this out there. I know you're the biggest baseball guy out there, as well as hockey, number one. But Pat, I'm not the biggest baseball guy, but I did see something yesterday come across my board. How do you feel about a salary cap in baseball? This way, the Dodgers can't be the Dodgers, Pat. How do you feel about that? Because it's fair to other teams, Pat. Because we look at the LA market, we look at the big threes in basketball. I think baseball does need this, Pat, to the point where all teams have a $100 million cap, Pat. Because Freeman, hell, he's $150 million in 2 years. Otani is $70 million, Pat. I mean, how do you feel about a salary cap in baseball as a fan?
Yes and no, because does it stink with the Dodgers are doing?
Mhm.
Absolutely, but you would be lying to yourself if this wasn't your team, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
You'd
right.
be lying and saying, "Quiet, don't say anything about no salary crap." I mean, so again, I look at the Dodgers
Mhm.
front office the way I look at Howard Roseman, right? It's not his fault that he got all these he's playing chess while everyone's playing checkers.
Right.
It's not his fault. He didn't. He's the one that got Freeman to come over. He's the one that got Mookie Betts to come in from the Red
Yes.
Sox. It's not his fault.
Right.
He's just playing the game. You guys are just falling into his mousetrap,
Yep.
and
You're
your
right.
fan base. I mean, I
You're
can't
right.
be mad at that. Again, from watching Howard Roseman here doing the things that he could do in the NFL, well, I can't be mad at the Dodgers front office of doing things he could do in the MLB. Right off the bat, here goes Eddie coming up. He goes, "Good morning, Paul and Tag.
Eddie.
What's up, Eddie? Good morning, sir."
That's my co-host from the Cowboy Show, Pat. There he
Yes,
is.
he's a good man, very good man. Our man Dave Arnold checking in. Good
Oh,
morning,
Davey.
gentlemen.
Davey.
David,
What's up, Dave?
Dave's going to be in a tug of war with himself a little later because he's going to have Clash of Italy and with WWE, and he's got the Phillies game on. I'm curious, Dave. What are you going to do with that remote?
He's watching wrestling 100%. That man does
he's
not turn that off. He is not. He's already got the popcorn ready, Pat, and everything. I know Davey, man. Little brother Dave, yes.
yeah. He's definitely going to go wrestling over the Phils. Especially the main event. He's definitely going to be flipping and flopping with that remote. Eddie says salary crap is needed. Yeah, like I said, Eddie. Though yes and no, because like I said, if I was a Dodgers fan, I would go and
Yeah. Well,
Right.
Pat,
You know,
I do agree with you. I do agree. I do think it is needed, Pat. But the problem is, too, you got to think about one thing. What you said, as a fan, I'm happy. But I'll put it in this way, Pat. In football, Jerry Jones is the richest owner in the NFL and any sport, Pat. But he doesn't put out money even to build his own team. So you know what? I give credit to every owner out there that builds their team. Look at the Dodgers organization. Their owners, Pat, they don't care. They know they're going to make money. They put out money to make money. They win championships. They buy it. Kudos to them, Pat. I do agree with the salary cap, but then again, I don't as a fan of my team. Because hell, if you're a Dodgers nation, be so happy and blessed that your owners have the coin to pay the team, man.
and you're right. You're right. You know, they have the money to to pay the team and all that stuff. So again, like I can't be mad at what they've done. And again, the Dodgers know what they do. Know what they're doing
Right.
every all season. They know how to build. Look at that. Like I said, you look at that. You look at that lineup. 1 through 9,
Yeah.
off the bench. Like Mutsi coming off the bench last night.
Mhm.
Like they got hitting guys who can hit 1 through 9, a bench that can hit. I mean, this is why they're the world champions
Yeah.
because they build it right.
Right.
Eddie says at least ban the deferring money. How like Artani's contract is. I'm not going to do that either, Eddie. It's just listen. As my brother once said to me, my brother Chuck, as he used to beat me every time in wrestling, don't hate the player, hit the game, fool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's
I used to tell Pat that at 3 o'clock in the morning when I used to beat him in NCAA football. Don't hate the game, Don't hate the player, Pat. Don't hate me. It's the game, Pat.
Don't, as I would cry with my PlayStation controller into the pillow.
That was the mercy rule days, Pat. That was the mercy rule days.
It was the mercy rule days. Chris Rapassi checking in. What's up, Chris? He goes, Chet was scary to play last night.
We'll talk about that. Yes, we will.
He goes, keyword, what you just said, you guys spend money to make money.
Yes, yeah.
Good point, Chris. You do have to spend money to make money. Dave Yarnold checking in again. He goes, let me talk to you. Yeah, with everybody saying LA. Yeah, Dave he might have his LA gear on I don't think he went to bed.
Pat, I'll tell you a quick story. When we went to Payback up here in Pittsburgh, Dave came up to my house. We went up to pay it back, and we actually got VIP seats. I went to one of the guys. I was like, "Hey, we have a podcast about wrestling. Can we move all the way up?" Pat, we were like almost ringside. After the show, Pat, Dave ran around for about an hour and a half looking for a damn LA Knight shirt. Pat, he ran around everywhere, everywhere looking for, and he's screaming, "Let me talk to you." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, Pat, this guy."
Yeah. Yeah, I think Dave's in his LA Knight gear as we speak. I think he's got the vest on, the shades. I think
he put it on last night, Pat. He was watching it during the Phillies game with the LA Knight shirt on last night, Pat. He is not going to. He's still wearing it. Yes.
Yeah. I know the Phillies colors are red and white, but my man's got his red and yellow on today.
Yes.
And by the way, I gotta give credit to that. You and I, one thing you and I definitely have in common are sports logos. And if you haven't caught that LA Dodgers blue new hat, that thing is sweet.
It is. It is.
That's pretty. Like I said, there's some jerseys and uniforms to come out. I go, I'm not feeling it. Yep. That Dodgers hat, I'm feeling that one. That's pretty sick hat, by the way. But anyway, like I said, let's get into again. Last night you had Luzardo versus Sasaki. Sasaki had 7 runs. Again, just completely shelling this Phillies lineup. Alec Bohm would get that 1 home run deep to one, but only 1 run to show for it. Really, the Phillies got advantage over their bullpen, and that helped out. And again, I got to credit this Phillies bullpen. You go from Luzardo, you go to Alvarado. I know me and Dave were talking last night. He's not the biggest Alvarado fan, but hey, listen, Alvarado, the bullpen held down. Guys throwing at 100-mile heaters across the plate. You had the Tarantula coming in, Durant coming in and putting the ice in the cake. And like I said, you got to give credit to the pitching staff. When about 2 months ago, you looked at the bullpen, you looked at the starting arms, you were scratching your head at these guys because Alvarado has some ugly starts. And listen, like Dave said best, for what it was yesterday, it was pretty good. We got another Eddie's checking in. He must have his LA Knight gear on. He's saying
he does. He does. Him and Dave, man, they either go back and forth on Atomic Drop. They just went constantly back and forth, man. I'm just like, all right, slow the roll. Let me step back. You guys take it over, man. They love wrestling, Pat.
They do. They're wrestling nuts, and that's always fun. Mattingly has been doing a
Yeah.
hell of a job. He has. I mean,
Yeah. He's changing culture, Pat. He's changing culture of his team. Like you said earlier, it's like, I don't care who you are, Bryce Harper, whatever you are, your names don't mean anything here. Do your job, or you know what, anybody's on the block here. I love that aspect of it as a head coach, a GM, whatever it is, Pat. I love the culture change. I really do.
Yeah, and you have to, because again, this is a sign. Listen, we moved on from your head coach. We moved
Yeah.
on from the manager of this team who got you guys to the World Series.
Yeah.
You guys are constantly backpedaling. We get it.
Mhm.
And to Don Dombrowski, the general manager of this team, he looked at it like, all right, well, no one's listening to this guy's message. But if they are, I'll move on from your coach. But if you guys don't start responding soon,
Yeah.
it's just going to tell me it's the players, and
Yep.
maybe it's Harper, but someone, like I said,
Mhm.
they had to readjust the starting lineup last night. Me and Dave were talking about it last night. They took Turner out of that one hole, they moved him down to two. They put Kyle Schwarber in the one spot. Again, this is a debate that's constantly going on with Kyle Schwarber. So let me ask you, Paul, your biggest home run hitter. Why would you want him in the one hole and the fourth hole? I mean, I
Yeah.
get it. This is where he's comfortable, but don't you want run support to go with it?
Pat, you're correct. I mean, listen, as a cleanup, as a what he's hitting, your power hitter should be for, Pat. I mean, what's the job of 1 and 2, Pat? To get on base, move the runner over in the scoring position, play small ball if you can. But you got a hitter like that, Pat. Put him 3, put him 4. I mean, maybe 4. You get a guy on first base. You still 1 out there, 2 outs at the least, or at the most with him coming up the plate. But Pat, it makes no sense. I mean, to me, if I'm the coach, Pat, I'm the manager. Hey, you're a home run hitter. You look at your strikeouts right now, brother. You're leading the league in strikeouts. You got to come up on here before, do your job before. We'll get a man on base because you want to swing for the fences. Do it. But you're not. Pat, let me ask you this: when he gets on first base, Pat, does he steal bases? Does he move over?
He can. He doesn't have that kind of
Right.
speed. Yeah, right.
Then what's the sense of having him on bat on first, Pat? I mean, you get on there, it's a one-hit wonder over the fence. You get a run. If not, it's you're not playing small ball with them. It makes no sense.
No, and Kyle Schwarber only has 3 objectives. He hits the long ball.
Right,
He could draw walks, or he's a strikeout machine. And when he's
right.
ice cold, I get it. But again, is that how you want to set the tone of the game with an
Yeah,
automatic out? So
exactly.
again, I keep on going back to it. And I hear, well, this is where he's most comfortable. No, that's just an excuse. He's a professional ball player. You could put him in 1, 4,
Yeah.
9. He's got to produce. He's getting paid millions of dollars. He just got the big
Yep.
5-year deal in the summer,
Mhm,
last summer this past
mhm.
winter to come up with the production. So
Yep.
you
And
have that.
Pat, real quick, you said it perfectly. I mean, what position you should play. I heard somebody say yesterday, actually a couple days ago, Pat. I was at the post office, and a guy was talking about. He's like, "Are you a Dodger fan?" I'm like, "No, not really. I just watch baseball, some baseball. I love Otani." And he's like, "Oh, he shouldn't be batting first." I'm like, "The guy can get on base. He doesn't play long ball. He plays short ball as well. He hits midfield, dingers, and he gets on base. But then when he gets on base, Pat, you remember when he was part of the 40-40 club, the guy can steal bases, and he doesn't matter
Mhm.
where he hits. He's a team player. You put him at 9, he's okay with it, Pat. But Schwarber, you're right. How do you want to start the game off? You go up the plate. It's either ooh or ah. It's all most likely it's a ah. It sets the tone of your team, Pat.
And it's true. You don't strike out. Then you have a guy like Turner, who's, I mean, yesterday, he kind of, this couple weeks he's been picking up. I mean, prior to that, I mean, he was,
Yeah,
again, fundamentals, swinging at anything. Things are low
yeah.
on the ground. It looked like Goffrey was playing cricket. I didn't know what he was doing. I mean, there's some bad baseball. What he was. And I'm just looking at him like, what are we doing? Don baseball, like, you got to flip the script here. You got to start moving guys around, trying to shake things up a little bit. Now, last night, I would say midway through the game, he does a shake up. He takes Brandon Marsh out for Sosa, and like me and Dave were talking about, Sosa is the kind of guy. He's a plug and play kind of guy. He'll come in and give you that spark. But you don't want to give him. He's not an everyday player. You don't want to
Mhm.
give him everyday duties, because he goes ice cold. And then, like, his first at bat, the guy Velsa came up, throwing a bunch of change-ups at him, and he was swinging at everything. But then again, like I said, he came back, he turned things around with a big home run. Eddie said he would put, I guess he's talking about Schwarber, put him in 4 or 5. And exactly, you put him up on that cleanup mop duty.
Mm-hmm.
I would, the way I would look at it now, Eddie, you give me, you could keep Harper at 3. I would give me, move Stott and Bohm up to your, if Stott and Bohm are making contact, put them in your 1 and 2 hitters. You got to set the tone early, especially against the heavyweight offense of the Dodgers. You have to be prepared for that. I don't care if this guy feels comfortable being here or there. Then I'm not here. I'm not paying you to do that. I'm paying you for you to come up with some production.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, Paul, let's switch gears a little bit. The 76ers.
Yeah.
In the news again, they got themselves a new president of basketball operations, Mike Gansky.
Gansky, yeah.
He was a executive, one executive, one executive of the year with the D League back in 16 and 17. I don't know if anyone cares about that, but he's been with the Cavs since 22 as their general manager.
Yep.
How do you feel? Does it mean anything?
You know what, Pat? It actually does. I mean, you look at some of the things he's done with the D League. It's like you said, really nobody cares about the D League, Pat. I really don't. To me, it's just a farm team that, you look down players that are basically AAA baseball. But I like this move, Pat. What he did with the Cavs, I mean, under the right tutelage of Bob Myers, I think this guy can really do something, Pat. I mean, you look at Myers with him, 4 championships with Golden State. He's made some hell of a moves for trades, Pat. And the trades aren't some of them the biggest names, Pat. You look at Durant, with Myers doing that, but that wasn't Gansky as well. That wasn't him. But some of the moves under Bob Myers with the tutelage to Gansky, I think they can do this because they go out and get players that fit the team, Pat. It's not going to be an Embiid, Harden. It's not going to be an Embiid, Butler. It's not going to be that. It's going to be players that fit teams, Pat. I give the Sixers, I don't know what they are next year, Pat. It's a rebuild year. We don't know what Embiid's at. We don't know what George is going to be like. We don't know. The bench is still kind of suspect as well. But I give this team a couple years, Pat, and I think they could be the 1-2 seed under Myers and Gansky. I really like this, Pat, because the biggest trade that Gansky made, Pat, was Darius Garland from the Clippers for James Harden. He makes some moves out there, Pat. The guy makes moves. He knows when to say, okay, the guy has lost gas in the tank. I like this guy. I really do. But the key thing is Gansky and Myers together. I think this team could be something. And I think they're going to put Nurse in a position to get the players that he needs, Pat.
And look, Paul, I hope that you're right because, again, all the 76ers fans, or even myself, I look at it. I can't speak for all. But, again, I look at this team. I look at it. They owe the 2 oldest guys on this team a buttload of money. Mm-hmm. And I just want to see, something back in return, and maybe he does do things that Morley won't do. That's why Bob Myers brought him in, looking for maybe he knows Gansky well. He said they know each other. Like he said, the stuff he's done, making the Cavs what they are now, making them an upcoming team. And that's what I want for the 76ers. I just want them to be relevant. I'm tired of the storyline. Yeah. I don't know, like you said, I'm with you. I don't know how much of a splash they make this summer as part of free agency. Mm-hmm. It's Cat. I don't know what's going to go on. But I just hope that we get within maybe 2 to 5 years, a up and coming, contender again. And hopefully the big guy will be off this team by then.
Yeah. And Pat, I'm going to tell you what, if there's any viewers out there that ever say, Gansky and Myers coming over here, the process 2.0. Don't ever say that. I'll smack you in the face if you say that, because I am done with this process crap, Pat. 6 years of this BS, and you know what? What do we have to show for it, Pat? Can't get out of the second round, basically. We're process nothing. I don't want to hear that anymore.
No, we wasted time with this Embiid storyline. Embiid storyline has been dreadful, and like it stinks. And I look. Are you happy to have Maxey here? Absolutely. Sure. Are you happy to have VJ as coming in? You have a couple of foundational pieces, but you really need a dog here. And I don't think the Sixers team. I mean, Embiid was a dog, he's just not that dog anymore. He's too wounded. He needs to stay kettled. He needs to go back to the kettle. Stay back in the veteran house, if you will.
Hmm.
I mean, he's just not the same player as he was. It's time to move on. It's time for a new regime. And like I said, maybe with Gansey, I'm curious to see what these guys, him and Bob Myers, do to flip the script here.
Yeah. Exactly. I agree with you. I mean, I'm not going to say next year because the writing on the walls with Embiid, we don't know. Is he tradable? Is he playable? We don't know what he is. So I give this team a pass next year, Pat. But I do like the new GM. I do.
And I listen, I will say, did the 76ers hire a new general manager? Eddie, they didn't hire a new manager. I mean, that's still out in brand, but they do have a new presidents of operation, and it is one Mike Gansey. Again, so Paul, what can you expect? What is going to be the major difference from Gansey to Daryl Morey?
You know what, Pat? He's been there, done that. He started from the bottom, Pat. He was went from the D League, moved up the chain of command. With the Cavs. The Cavs weren't really anything after LeBron left. I don't like LeBron as a player. I respect him, but I really don't like him as a player. What he is outside of basketball, but they've rebuilt, Pat. They have under the right guidance. They brought players in. They brought traded Garland for Harden, which wasn't the greatest move. We've seen what Harden is in the playoffs. We've seen that, but he's built this team, Pat. They're always a playoff contender. The problem with them is just like the Sixers, Pat. Donovan Mitchell doesn't show up in playoffs. He's either hurt or doesn't play. He gets hurt, but you can't put that on a GM or head coach. You got to put that on the players, but he has built his team, Pat. I like the move. I really do. I expect a lot of good moves this year in the offseason. Number one, I'm really curious to see how they take on Embiid's contract, Pat. Is he tradable? Do they make a statement coming right in? You look at Harbaugh with the Giants, Pat. He came in and traded Dexter Lawrence right away. Make a statement. I'm curious to see what Myers and Gansey do. Because if you trade Embiid, Pat, who would have hell would have thought that was going to happen with a new guy coming in, Pat? That's something that you want to make your mark right away. That is making a statement. That is Madeline and Thompson, Pat. That's another move like that. And look what the Phillies are doing, Pat. Could it light a fire under the Sixers? Possibly.
I hope you're right. I hope that this is going to be the start of something fresh. Like you said, make a statement. Come in and don't dip your toes in the water. Come in with the biggest cannonball you can and make the
Sure.
biggest splash. And wake up and tell tell your 76ers fan base something like,
Yeah,
listen, we're not wasting time. We're going to move on from people and we're going to
I
fit,
agree.
like you said, fit the guys in this system the right way. You have a bench that majorly took a step back. You didn't really have a bench. You have again, you and I talked prior going on to the show, like, look at the Spurs and how fast of
Yeah,
a rebuild that they just went through. Like,
yeah,
why can't that be us? But we're stuck with this big anchor holding this boat down that we just can't, get the stuff to go forward. Eddie says drafting wasn't morally an issue, overpaying and trading for
yeah,
players that was and past their prime. Good point, Eddie, and that's what it was.
yeah,
You're bringing in Paul George. I get it. You want some defense out there, but again, he has what I've seen from him. He gives you half of a ball game. The other half, he's MIA. He can't stand on the floor.
yeah,
All that stuff. Same thing. He goes, being a playoff contender isn't the easy. Isn't that in the East? Isn't that hard?
I agree with that. I mean, you look at it, Pat. The one seed got beat, which tell the 1 and 2 seeds got beat, Pat, this year by lower seeds, which tells you the East is not strong. It's not, Pat. The Western Conference is stronger. We know that, but you're right. Any team that can make the playoffs 1 through 8, after the play-in, can make the championship in the East, Pat. It's not strong. It's not.
Yeah, listen, like you mentioned, yeah, Detroit. It's at the top of the mountain
Yeah,
all year
yeah.
long, and then they got hit, not knocked off the mountain.
Mm,
Again, you had Atlanta, the only team that gave the Knicks a run for their money so far, and not in this playoff run. But again, you got guys like the Knicks. You still have Boston. How long is it? You don't want to sit too far back because you see that Atlanta is going to start turning things around. Orlando is
They're,
there.
they're they're young. The Orlando's still young. I mean, they still got to put together. I mean, and the thing is, you look at teams, Pat, that we unsung under the radar. They're going to be building too through the draft right now. So the Sixers really got to get this. They take advantage of the players they have, but Eddie was right, Pat. The problem is you overpay players. You're
Mhm.
strangled. Elton Brand needs to put his foot down too, and make some moves here. Like, hey, that's not the best issue. We got to get rid of this guy. We got to unload that. He's got to play Howie Roseman here, Pat, because just like Eddie said, is it impossible to move on from Embiid? Why do you want a guy $60 million, Pat? Next year, he's making 70. Who's going to buy a contract for $70 million, Pat? And you can only play 30 games a season, if that.
Listen, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to play general manager with you. The players. Some players are not getting along with him.
Yeah.
All the stupid, the immature stuff he once had. I get it. He's maturing little by little. He's an injury-prone player now. How can I sell that to you? Even if you know what I mean. Hey, Paul, look, I got an MB. Do you want him? You're going to look at me with 8 dotted lines, and I'm like, oh, but here goes all the money. I'm going to need you to take off the table as well. You're going to be like, nah.
You bring me in B for that contract, Pat. You know I'm going to say, hey, I'm taking Pat Bernard from Devereaux Street. Edmund Street. I'm taking Pat from Edmund Street over Embiid, brother. I'll tell you that right now.
Right.
At least he'll give me some gameplay out there every day. He'll show up to work. Embiid. I don't know if he's going to play or tomorrow. He's going to come on the court saying, Hey, Paul, I twisted my fingernail. Something like that. I can't play tonight. So no, at least Pat's going to give me 10 minutes, 20 minutes of action out there. So yeah.
No way. Oh my gosh. What are you doing, Trout? Trout from Lancaster, the big Commanders fan, chiming into the show, goes, Turds wasting time playing cards. Oh, come on, man. Worry about your Commanders. All right. We already have enough stress over here trying to worry about in the next 24 hours what's going to happen with A.J. Brown or not. All right.
He's gone, Pat. You know that.
The writing's on the wall. I'll be surprised if secretly if he ain't already at his next team's destination already. But yeah, it is definitely writing on the wall. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Like, again, if you guys want to comment about anything, as far as Philadelphia sports related, anything really, you want to talk about the Game 7 went down last night. Paul, like I said, what was your initial takeaway from last night's Game 7?
First, let me just rewind to last week, Pat. Every person out there that said Thunders possibly could just run away with this, I believe Pat and I said pump the brakes for a second here. Don't count the Spurs out. Listen, the Spurs are built. The thing is behind, in the green room, Pat and I talked about this. Pat said rebuild, and I added something onto that. They are ahead of schedule. Their process has already been completed. Wemby, Castle, Fox, Vassell, Champagne. This team is built for the future. They're young. They're the youngest team in the NBA, Pat. They're going to be poised for the next 5 to 6 years easily. They're ahead of schedule. And Thunder, wow. Chris Rapizzi talked about, Chet Holmgren not showing up. The kid is 180 pounds soaking wet. This kid, he was MIA on milk carton, Pat. They shut him down, and they made Shea Alexander Gildress beat them. They didn't care if he scored 60 points, Pat. Nobody else showed up last night on that Thunder team, Pat.
Yeah,
Hardenstein 7, Holmgren 4, Shea 35, Dortz 3, and Wallace, who is a sixth man, 17. They said, score, Shea, score whatever you want. We're going to lock down everybody else.
And it's funny, too, because, OKC probably thought if they lost Game 6, like, all right, listen.
At home, going back home, yeah.
Yeah, got home. We could turn things around. We could flip the script. We could come back and win this thing. And no, the Spurs put their foot on the throttle and never looked back. And I just look at this and, like, Wembley, just putting it all on the line. The way you say, like, I'm ready to put everything on the line for this moment. And I'll just be, like you say, I talked about prior going on air, like, just happy to see good basketball. If we could get these kind of games from OKC and the Spurs on, like, in the next 4 to 5 years, kind of like going back and forth, toe for toe, I'm all for it. But, at the same token, so Paul, I got to ask you, I mean, we're about to have our special guest up here, Michael Lyle Jr. It's going to be fun. I think this series coming up, it's going to be a lot of fun. But, and again, I saw a lot of Spurs fans out there, celebrating as they should be excited. And again, I kudos that front office from Ginobili, all those guys, Parker, Duncan, you go from that a quick turnaround to where they're already back into a runners up, going for an NBA Finals run and maybe win the whole thing. And yet here we are with the same storyline for the last 10 to 15 years. Is NBA going to get over the hump of moving out of the second round? Like, this is boring and exhausting to me.
Yeah, Pat, going into this game here, I mean, as you said, I love watching good basketball. I'd rather see a series go to 7 games, 6, 7 games, Pat, rather than a sweep, because to me, that just shows you one team is superior, one team doesn't belong to be there. Listen, I was a firm believer. I thought the Spurs were going to go 7, but losing 7, Pat. The Thunder, been there, done that, defending champs. But Pat, you look at this game coming up. I mean, game 1. This is a tale of two tapes. I mean, both teams are poised. They're loaded. The bench is nasty. Pat, one name I didn't mention is Dylan Harper. He was a first-round pick last year, coming from the Spurs. Everybody wanted him as a number 1 player. He hasn't even really seen the court. He's coming off the bench, only getting like 15 minutes. That tells you something, Pat, that a lottery player isn't really seeing time on a team because right now he doesn't fit the mold, Pat. It's a team that's fitting the mold. The Spurs are playing great. But you look at the Knicks, Pat, Brunson, Hart, Bridges, Anunoby, Towns. Then you look at, the Spurs, Fox, Castle, Vassell, Champagne, Wemby. I kind of give the advantage to the Spurs, Pat, because Towns can shoot the 3. He's so-called the best shooter in as a center in the NBA. But, Pat, when you got a 7'5" center that can play defense and bring the ball down court in Wemby and shoot threes, it's going to be an X and O game because if you pull Towns out of the center of the court, that creates, the Spurs to hit the lane here. I kind of like the Spurs, Pat, but I think this series goes 6-7, Pat. I really do. I think they're balanced. They're balanced teams.
And I hope so, because now we are down to only one more hockey series, one more NBA final series. I mean, I can't believe school's out after this.
Yeah.
So this is to me the marks of summer. But it's like I said, I think we're in for a long, and I hope it goes 6-7. I hope it's going to be a dogfight to the end. But like you said, Wembley is everything that we want from Embiid, but healthier. I mean, he's long, he's lanky, he's developed his shot. He's gotten better. He's gotten more aggressive. He don't care who's in the lane. He's going to attack you. And like you said, he turned Stein into a true toy yesterday, where he was nothing at all.
Pat, real quick about that game, there's one thing I was talking to my buddy yesterday about. We were talking. He's actually a Knicks fan, and I said, the one thing that you don't want to see as a Knicks fan, Pat, Mason Plumlee, Kelly Olynyk didn't play the last 2 games for the Spurs. They're coming in fresh. They're not big scorers, Pat. But here's the thing: Mitchell Robinson has had pinky surgery. He shoots 29% at the free throw line. We've seen hack of Mitchell Robinson. This guy can't shoot free throws, Pat. Why not in the last 2 minutes of the game? The Spurs coaches are going to come and say, hey, he's in the court, foul him. Just foul him. He can't shoot. It's a guaranteed 2 miss, free throw there. I think there's going to be a lot of fouls from Mason Plumlee, Kelly Olynyk on Mitchell Robinson because the guy can't shoot free throws, Pat. He plays defense, but he can't shoot free throws. I think they're going to be hacking Mitchell Robinson a lot this season, Pat, in the series. I really do. I think it's an X and O game. I think that happens.
Well, and I think so too. Eddie's checked in. Eddie goes, the Spurs have beat. I guess you might say best. They have the best defense in the NBA.
Yeah, they move.
They move around, and Brunson's going to have to work hard for this for his points.
They do. I mean, I think Castle, Vassell, Champagne can play defense off the edge. I think he's going to. Yeah, he is playing. It. He's definitely playing. He's already said he's playing. But my thing is, you can't shoot free throws, so why not foul him at the line? He shoots 29%. As a player, that's bad. I thought Shaq was bad, Pat.
Yes, I thought Shaq was bad too. But here goes our man Joe Sullivan checking into the show. Listen, guys, and the same thing. Chet looked.
Yeah, exactly right. Ben Simmons, yeah,
he did look like Ben Simmons out there. He looked lost in the sauce. So let's no further ado. Again, guys, if you're just joining the show, and we do appreciate from all your social media platforms, if you haven't done it already, we have a special guest in the background. checking in from all the way in Colorado. But however, he is a New York native. He wears New York on his sleeves. He's a Giants fan. I know he's proud as a peacock that his Knicks are in the NBA Finals. So let's no further ado. News anchor himself out there in Colorado. Let's bring on my man, Michael Lyle Jr. Mike, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Hey, good morning, guys. Good morning, Pat. Good morning, Paul. Happy Sunday.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's really early out here in these parts, but I'm here with you to do this because I know you guys want to talk about my beloved Knicks. Doing
Yeah.
positive that we haven't seen in 27 years. So we've waited a long time for this, and now here we are.
I agree.
And listen, I agree too. You know what's funny? And my man Joe Sullivan says I like the Knicks in 6. So you know what's funny? It's as much as it pains me because again, the Philly New York rivalry, we get all that, we know the storylines, but I watched 3, Brunson, Bridges, Hard win championships here, and I'm excited for them. And like I had my family asked me, who am I polling for? I said, believe it or not, the Knicks. If anybody, I said, I hope the Knicks do it all. And I said, because of, for Brunson, Hart, and Bridges, kids I see one, win here, not shy of the bright lights. They're not shy to get down and dirty. I think it's going to be a heck of a series. I think it goes 6-7. We'll see what happens. But first of all, Michael, where are you? It seems like a lot of people in New York are excited or ecstatic, as they should, for this Knicks team.
Well, it's been, like I said, 27 years since we were back on the stage. And I don't know where you guys were in 1999, but I was a graduating senior in high school when we were last in the finals. And one interesting nugget about that 1999 season, guys, that was a lockout shortened season, if you recall.
Yeah.
It was locked out for a portion of the season until spring, and then that's when the Knicks made that run, that miracle run to the finals, the Larry Johnson 4-point play against Indiana that started that run. And then, of course, they got to the finals, but then they just were not ready to play the Spurs. David Robinson finally got his ring that year. But as I said, 27 years in the waiting for this moment, and we're here. It's been a great run. We've dealt with a lot of futility over the last 2 decades as Knicks fans. We've been through the ups and downs. I mean, there were some posts on social media about the 94 season. I've always said that the 93-94 season should have been the year the Knicks won that championship for Patrick Ewing, John Starks, Charles Oakley, all those guys. I mean, that was the year they should have won it. And especially when Michael Jordan was not playing that year, the Knicks were the second best team in basketball. That was a year. But here we are now, 27 years later. They get a chance to get redemption against the San Antonio team. That's pretty good. But I agree. I think this is going to go 5 or 6 games, and the Knicks are going to win this thing, I think, because they are much more aggressive. They are much more hungry. They're well rested, which I think is going to play into this factor of being on the road the first 2 games. And some forget, by the way, that even though they might frown on this, the Knicks did beat the Spurs for the NBA Cup earlier this year. So they have beaten the Spurs already once in a game that meant for a championship. Whether you want to believe it or not, whether you want to call it a championship or not, it was a championship that they beat them for back in December. So the Knicks are pretty familiar with how to play and beat the Spurs team. That's why I think they're going to have an upper hand in this NBA Finals.
Yeah, so when I look at it too, and I'm with you too, Mike. It's going to be a fun battle. I mean, like I guess how do you see the Knicks though defending a guy like Whitley after he kind of went off yesterday? Are you just hoping? Listen, he's got some fatigue in the system now. The Knicks could take advantage of it. How do you see that? Trying to stop a guy like that who seems to be unstoppable.
Well, as I said, the Knicks are a veteran team right now. The Spurs are still a young team. The Knicks have playmakers. They have OG. I was listening to you. You talk about Mitchell Robinson. We already know about what Jalen Brunson can do. Cat's been having a phenomenal season. Josh, you just mentioned Josh Hart. These guys have been stepping up and playing like lights out. I mean, Mike Brown. What's interesting about Mike Brown is that when he took over the coaching job a year ago, he had him sign what they were called, it was some paperwork that he had him called. You are responsible for what you're going to do with this team now because you're here. Because he was not going to have guys that were going to just come in there and just play lackadaisical basketball. Like, no, we're going to build a culture that's going to be a winning culture. And, it was called accountability papers. Whereas you are now accountable for what happens with this team because you're playing for this team. We're going to win. We're going to set a tone here. And believe it or not, that has been key because everybody has bought into Mike Brown's system, and that's why they're all free flowing right now. We got a lot of depth. He's using the bench well. Mitchell might have had the pinky injury, but he's going to be relatively healthy come the start of this series. I think the Knicks are in good shape right now, and I know they have to play Wemby tougher because Wemby is going to be the future face of this league. We know that he will put up some numbers, but if you take away the Spurs' second and third option, that gives the Knicks an advantage in the series.
Michael, real quick, you said accountability there. I tell you what, when you have players that play for a team, to fill the roster as needed, I love what Mike Brown has done in here. He set the accountability role. Players like Jose Alvarado coming in here. He's not a scorer. He's a pest. He plays, hard-nosed football. He's a lunch pail guy. I think this series, you're going to see him playing on Castle a lot to take away him from driving the ball, dishing the ball. And I think it's going to be a defensive game here. But my question to you is, I mentioned with Pat, are you scared with Mitchell Robinson, who's shooting 29% from the free throw line? I think I'm going to see a lot of hacking this season.
I am a little concerned about that, yes, because I was wondering why this guy just gets to the free throw line but can't convert free throws.
Yeah.
But there was another superstar center that was like that, though. Shaquille O'Neal.
Yes.
He only hit free throws, but because of his big presence in the center in the paint, that's all he was good for, was getting rebounds and was making plays. So I would like for Mitchell to try and do better at the free throw line if he gets in that position, because that's going to be one of the Spurs' game plans is foul Mitchell Robinson. He can't make a free throw, especially in games down the stretch where they know that he's not going to be liable to hit free throws. So I would like to see that percentage go up. Wishful thinking it might go up, but if not, then Mitchell's going to just produce like he's been doing. He's be a force underneath the basket, clean up the boards, and just get and make the plays.
Yeah, I think Mason Plumlee and Kelly Olynyk's going to have 10 fouls to give right there to send Robinson to the free throw line. Make him, if he can score 50%, that's an extra 10 points. But that 10 points is kind of hard when you're Mitchell Robinson shooting that percentage at the line, though.
Hack-a-Shack was like the thing back in the day. Now it's Hack-a-Mitch now. Now it's
Yes.
Mike, if I was to go back to you in November and tell you your New York Knicks were going to be in the NBA Finals, how would you look at me?
I would have been like, probably, maybe. We'll see. No, really, because last year, if it wasn't for Tyrese Halliburton's shot, the Knicks might have gotten to the finals last year. That shot deflated them last year in the East Finals, and that's what took them out of their sales. Now, without them in this year, and of course, this whole bracket buster that was an Eastern Conference playoff with Detroit and Boston both going down, that made things a little more feasible for the Knicks to get through this run. But I'm not going to say that I didn't think they could make it to the finals, because I thought that they built a team that was capable of getting there, because the last few years they have been contenders. They have been in the top 5 in the East. So I think at some point they'll crack that top 2 or 3 spot, and then they'll eventually maybe get a nice run, and then maybe they'll have a shot to get to the finals. But here we are. And as I mentioned, guys, they did beat – I know everybody looks down on that championship, that title, that tournament that they don't like in the NBA, but it's a championship. They beat the Spurs already for a championship, guys. I don't know why people in the media don't understand that. They beat them in the center for the NBA Cup. So the New York Knicks have beaten the San Antonio Spurs already this season. Okay. So why can't we do it in a 7-game series now? Why? What's the difference?
Michael, I do got a question for you real quick. Regarding last year, when Thibodeau played, his bugaboo basically was he runs his starters and doesn't play his bench. I'm seeing Mike Brown play his bench, Shaman coming in, Clarkson coming in, Miles McBride playing, Alvarado playing. Players are getting playing time. Is that one of the key things where Thibodeau didn't play his bench? Mike Brown plays his bench. That is a huge thing going into the playoffs here.
Well, that's why Mike Brown's the head coach now.
Exactly.
They didn't play the bench last year. That's what hurt them.
Yep.
Play your bench, and their bench, if you look at the last 2 series the Knicks had against Cleveland and against your beloved Sixers, they used that bench pretty well in those closeout games, and the bench came in there and did very well like the first string. Yes. So the depth is showing big time for this Knicks team, and that's what you just mentioned Shaman. Shaman's has some monster games in the last couple of years. He's a young hero right now for the Knicks, if you ask me, because if Brunson's having an off night or if Cat's having an off night, they have role players. This is something that the Knicks have not had in years. Role players that can step up and fill those voids when guys are having an off night scoring.
Michael, you said it correctly right there. When players, you make somebody beat you. That's what the Spurs did to Shea Alexander. Let him score 50. Let him try to beat you. Let the other guys, Chet, Hartenstein, let them show up. Nobody showed up. That's how the Spurs beat them. With the Knicks, you got a loaded roster where Mike Brown say, okay, Brunson's not having the greatest game. We got Bridges. We got OG playing the best defense ever. He can come out and score. Towns can score. McBride can score. Shaman can score. Clark's can. Hell, when he was with the other Clay, he scored 40 points a game at nights. He can score too. Pick your poison.
Exactly. It's funny. I'm seeing a lot of fans right now, and I'm looking at your chats right now. A lot of people are really putting this thing in the Spurs' hands. I love that the Knicks are going to be the underdogs because let me put it to you this way. The Knicks have been the underdogs for years, so I actually think this plays right into their hands right now. That the media is putting them down. They don't have a snowball's chance, to win this series. Okay, well, that's fine because you know what? They've been the underdog throughout this postseason, okay? They're the number 3 seed in the East, so they weren't even supposed to be here. If it wasn't for Boston and Detroit collapsing, maybe we're not even having this conversation this morning, guys. I don't know, but they're here, and they're here. So why not?
That's a lot of love from our beloved listeners, like my man Eddie, my man Sean. They listen. And it's funny, and I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for this, like I normally do. I got called better by worse, or I got called worse by better. I'm excited for the Knicks, and I'll tell you why. And again, I know I'm going to go back to the Nova roots and all that stuff, but to me, it's a fresh storyline for the Knicks, and it's because I've seen, like I said, the Brunson and all that. I was so happy for when they were winning championships here. That was more appealing to the 76ers basketball. 10 years later, it's the same story. Like I'm more thrilled and more appealed to these guys, the core of the Knicks, than I am with the 76ers. Same dogs. I get it. They're bringing Mike Gazy in here to try and change things up, but it's boring. Not until they get rid of that big old anchor that's holding the 76ers boat down from going anywhere in Joel Embiid. It's going to be the same boring story. I'm so out on it. It's ridiculous. So you know what? You want to call me a turnpike turncoat? Hey, so bad. So listen. I'm just enjoying good basketball right now. Like Paul said, we're down to one final basketball series. I hope it goes 7, despite whether it's going to be the Knicks or the Spurs, because it really does. To me, it affects the 76ers in a way, because if you look at it, in Wembley way, this is what Joel Embiid was supposed to be 5 years ago, but healthier. And if you look at this, on the New York side, well, you know what, they got 2 monster dogs who ran Embiid off the floor, and you weren't intimidated by them at all. So, and that's, like I said, like Paul said, you got Mike Brown, who ain't scared to use the bench, where you got Nick Nurse, who only takes like 2 guys off the bench and ready to use it.
I was kind of shocked the way the Knicks swept the Sixers. I really was. I was not thinking that it was going to be a sweep. I thought that would at least gone 6 games, considering that Philadelphia came all the way back to beat Boston in 7 games. I was thinking maybe they would have a fight in them to probably make that Knicks series interesting. But I think a lot of fans, myself, were kind of shocked that, whoa, they swept these boys after they just came back and beat Boston. They were down 3-1, and now they get swept? Yeah. I don't know what happened with you Sixers in that series, guys. I'm sorry. I guess, you just mentioned the bench was a factor, and it was a factor because you guys didn't play your bench. And I guess, when you got Paul George, you got to ride up with Paul George and Joel Embiid. And I'm just thinking you guys would have at least made that series competitive. But where were they?
Michael, I got a question for you. I want to get through this season here first, Spurs and Knicks here. We haven't crowned a champion yet. But I want to ask you something for the future here. I mean, the Spurs, I said this to Pat, it's a rebuild, but they're ahead of schedule right now. They're way ahead of schedule with Wemby and a young team here. Dylan Harper, first-round pick last year, who's going to be a stud in this league. He hasn't really seen the court right now. But with the Knicks here, Brunson's max contract. OG just got his contract. Hart and Bridges, they're ready. Cat is getting a big contract. He's overdue as well. How do you see this team in the next 3 to 5 years with the salary cap coming into play as well? How do you see this team playing with the next 3 years? Because you got to load into starting 5, Michael.
You do, but you also got to look at it this way. If the Knicks do win the championship this month, then they should be getting paid every penny because they are worth it.
Yes,
It's a 50-something-year drought that we're getting ready to try to end, guys. So I think that's worthy of every penny, including the key to Manhattan, if you want to throw that in there too. Because let's face it, we may never see a run like this again. I mean, it's tough, as you know, in sports to make runs like this in championship series, and especially when you have a roster you built to get there, and then you hope that roster stays intact after this year. And that's a big question too. I would think that if the Knicks can continue to keep this nucleus together, they could become a top contender in the East going forward. That remains to be seen, but I think that right now, winning this championship, pay them, and then we'll see where the chips may fall after that.
Exactly. Respect.
Yeah, and real fast to George, I think yeah. Listen, I don't know if they're going to move him from Paul George. I don't know what the 76ers are doing because I don't know what this franchise plans on doing. They don't know what direction they want to go. Obviously, they're going to bring in Mike Casey to take over the president operation. Okay, that's step one. But you mentioned earlier about what happened there, and again, it's this typical 76er stuff that Joel Embiid, yes, he put game 5, 6, and 7 on his back to get the Sixers over the hump to beat Boston. That's great. But then again, this guy again MIA, not knowing if he's going to be healthy enough to even hang with New York. He only showed up for one game. Yeah, actually, they played their best basketball without him, with Drummond on the floor. But again, and so that goes to tell every defense out there, well, if Joel Embiid ain't going to be on the floor, just shut down Maxey, and we have nothing else to worry about. Yeah, you got VJ Edge come on the way up. He's going to be a star in this league, but he's not going to be a problem right now. But all we have to do is just shut down Maxey, and then we'll go from there. And that's all it becomes. It's like I said, the same storyline constantly here with the same stuff. That's what, like I said. If anyone team I'm excited for, it's the Knicks because of the core. Because I do want to see Brunson win an NBA final. I do want to see Hart and Bridges win it to carry on that Nova North faithful. So, but I'm very very excited. Where again, if the Knicks are going to be the team to beat, then I guess the 76ers have a lot of groundwork to make up.
They do, and I like the Villanova pipeline out there too, guys. I've been a fan of Villanova basketball. I know they have a blue blood program, and I know that's what I said to you the other day, yesterday, Patrick, offline, that one thing about Philadelphia fans, they do get behind their players, even though they're in college or the pro ranks, but they support them, even though in this particular case, you got 3 from Villanova that are playing for a chip. I would think the Philadelphia faithful would like to see them win a championship. I mean, they were like that with Kobe Bryant. He played at Lower Merion. I mean, same thing. They loved Kobe. They didn't like when he played against the Sixers, but he's a hometown prospect, and that's what they like about that city. They like their hometown prospects, so I'm sure they're going to be pulling heavily for the Knicks in this particular case, and especially for those 3 we mentioned.
Yeah, I'm still mad you guys got rid of Dante, though. I mean, we could have had 4 starters on this team right now.
Yeah, I know, but but you see, they shook up the front office though, and they made changes, and that's why they're here now. Sometimes you got to go to the front office and shake things up, and that's what they did. They had to get a new coach,
exactly,
a new system, and they had to get everybody to buy into the system, and so far it's paying dividends.
And you're 100% right. Our front office made a business decision, and look where they're at now. So I think that's going to be great. But Michael, real quick, we have time. I want to switch something over. Since he's a Giants fan, I'm a diehard Cowboys fan. Pat knows me. Been a Cowboys fan all my life. Never changed. And my thing is, if you don't jump ship when you're bad, you're a true fan. I've been there since.
Well, you should, because you guys have always. How many more times I got to the East Side guys say this is going to be your year, right? Are we there yet? It's not even June yet. It's going to be June 1st tomorrow. Have you started that whole "this is our year" chant yet?
Yeah, not me. I mean, listen, I'm the type of person. I got cobwebs on my 5-time Super Bowl champ. I'm still questing for 6 year, and we're coming up on 30-year anniversary for the Cowboys, winning Super Bowl. But I want to ask you, with Harbaugh coming in here, Pat and I talked about Mike Brown, the accountability. How do you think that plays into the Giants? Because Harbaugh came in here and got rid of Dexter Lawrence right away, made a statement, went out to the draft, moved up and got his picks right away. He's building this team. How do you feel as Harbaugh? Is he on a window? Is he a rebuild? Because I don't like the word rebuild. You guys are poised and positioned I think you guys are going to finish second in the division. I do think the Cowboys, because the bugaboo was defense, we solidified that. I think the Giants are a prime team under the radar to turn heads this year with Harbaugh as the head coach.
And Harbaugh is not just building for this year. He's building for now and beyond. They want to win, because the Giants have had futility for years also. This is a franchise they need to win now, and that's why they put in John Harbaugh. They trust him. He had success all those years in Baltimore, won a Super Bowl there, so they expect him to do the same sort of house cleaning here. Yeah, there might have some questionable head-scratching moves, but I'm saying no. He's building a winning culture. That's what you got to do. We have coaches that have been used to winning. You've got to build a culture of winning. And he's setting the message that we're going to build this. We're going to rebuild this Giants culture that was known for winning. And I do believe that with the roster they have coming in, they revamped the defense now. Oh, yeah, the running game has gotten better this year. I think they're going to be right there in the thick of the NFC East this year. I think everybody else is going to be behind the Giants. It's going to be Philadelphia again. But I do believe you're right. The Giants are going to be right there with the rest of the pack.
I agree.
It's funny, and again, because I as an Eagles fan, I look at this Eagles team, and I'm the hard. If any team in this city, I'm hardest on the Eagles, and I always look at on paper. And I listen. If it wasn't for Howie Roseman being the general manager and making moves the way he does, uh, I definitely think this team always. And if by sometime this point tomorrow they move on from AJ Brown, I'm sorry. I think this team takes a major step back, and I think that the floor is over for either the Cowboys, Commanders, or the Giants to take over because I definitely don't see the Eagles being the commander. I know Eagles fans are probably going to have their cringe their teeth ready, throw tomatoes at me. That's fine.
Well, you know why though, right, Patrick? Because they get tired of that coach here, Nick Sirianni, making these decisions. I'm surprised he's still there because every week I've been reading about the Eagles when they lose a game. Everybody's on social media. Fire Nick Sirianni. He's got to go. Well, the guy's still there, so I don't know if it's exactly Nick Sirianni the problem, but you would swear to it that the guy is always at fault whenever they lose a game. So he's still there as head coach. So I guess the Eagles, Jeffrey Lurie trusts that he's going to try and right that ship.
And listen, if it wasn't for his resume, having that Super Bowl under his belt, and being at 2 Super Bowls already, I think that's what does it for him. Saves his that's what makes his clout. So again, if they have a bad year, the chain's only going to get a little bit more tighter. So you get guys like Sean checking in here. Sean Calranka goes, how about 3 players have gone down already with a torn Achilles for the Giants?
What's the most recent? Gunnar Anderson just went down, didn't he, a couple of days ago?
Yeah, it was. But this is only May 31st, guys. We still got a few months before training camp opens. Injuries right now. I know it's a little concern, but they're not even in training camp yet. I think as we get closer to July and August, if these injuries are not near complete or what you call maybe healthy at that point, then we start to get a little concerned. But I'm not going to start throwing everybody. I'm not going to jump off the bridge tomorrow and say, oh, well, the Giants are done because they have 3 injuries already. But it's May 31st. There's time to heal. They're going to actually I'm sure they're going to have the mini camps and all that stuff before the actual training camp opens. So just give us some time. Be patient. It's not panic.
Pat, I gotta ask Michael one thing real quick. Pat, you know me, I don't like Skip Bayless, okay? And Michael, being from New York, there is a guy out there called Stephen A. Smith. How do you feel about him? Because he is all over the Knicks right now. When he was quiet as heck, a couple of weeks ago, going in when you guys lost like 4 or 5 straight going into the playoffs, he was MIA. How do you, as a New York guy, feel about Stephen A. Smith? What is your take on him, honestly?
You know what? I've known Stephen A. Smith for a very long time, gentlemen. I have a little bit of a personal relationship with Stephen A. Smith.
Okay.
Because when I was working at ESPN all these years, for 6 years, I worked with him as a colleague, and I used to do stuff with him. He helped me with my academics a little bit too, so I have a lot to have. I'm very humble for Stephen A. Smith for helping me as part of my career. But in terms of him, what he's doing now, listen, the guy's going to speak his opinion. He's going to say stuff you're not going to like. That's what he gets paid a lot of money to do. I mean, he is going to be a mouthpiece to say things. You're not going to always agree with it. I may not always agree with what he says either because that's just who he is and that's what it's about. It's about his opinion. And people can compare him and Skip Bayless, but those two, as much as you might love him or hate him, you're going to watch him because they do share something that's going to get your attention to get you to watch. And again, you may not like it, but I just feel like this. Stephen A. is going to be Stephen A., and that's just who he is, and he's going to say that. I'm not going to always agree with all that what he says either, but sometimes he makes some valid points. Now, he's a diehard Knicks fan. Yeah, I do wonder sometimes, bro. You were kind of quiet for a while, but now you're out in the open now. It's like, okay, you're diehard, you're a ride or die, or what?
Right.
I've been a ride or die since I was born, bro. I mean, I'm going to be 45 years old. I dealt with that era of 80s basketball. I watched Michael and all those boys play against the Knicks, so I know about that era of Knicks basketball. I lived it. I slept it. I breathed it. I ate it. So I'm not going to say I'm like a fair weather fan. I am here. I dealt with all those years where they were just horrible, like nobody cared, but. That's what you just said. You're a true fan of your teams in Philadelphia. The Sixers had some down years. The Phillies had some down years. The Flyers had some down years. The Eagles had some down years. But you stuck through with your team because at some point there was going to be a breaking point. They were going to eventually bring home a chip. They were going to put together a team that was going to compete for a championship, and they did.
Well, I don't know about my Cowboys, Michael. It's been 30 years. I don't know how much longer I got left. I'm turning 55 in 3 weeks,
you might want to talk about that guy, Jerry Jones.
Oh yeah. Well, then the problem is Stephen Jones is, son. He's going to take over too. So we're kind of in the same boat, Michael. So it might be I don't know if I ever see another championship, honestly.
So you don't like Dak Prescott as your chance as a quarterback still? I mean, Dak's your franchise right now. I mean, that's the guy.
No, he is. We're tied to him. I get that. He's a good quarterback. I like it, but postseason is the bugaboo for him. Plus, the defense is really bad. But I like Shoddy coming in. I think he's turned the mojo. The culture of the team. I'm curious to see what the defense does this year because
that's
on
the big
paper we're
question
great.
about the coach. The head coach is a bit because I even think the Cowboys was like, who is this guy like this hired as a head coach? So you guys are big names that nobody knows about, and that's why I was even laughing at the Cowboys fans. They were going crazy about the new head coach. It's like, can y'all just let the man just show you what he can do before y'all jump off the bench?
Michael, I was one of them.
Breed. Cowboys fans are an interesting breed because you guys say it every year that it's going to be a year, but then they find a way to disappoint you every year. But you're a diehard. You've been through this. So I was a freshman in high school the last time they won the Super Bowl. Come on, it's been
you had to bring that up, man.
Thank you. Now, but it's the truth. It's like at some point they got a so-called America's team's got to be America's team again at some point.
Pat, remember I used to rock the starter jacket back in those days. Remember those?
Well, I was in fifth grade the last time. You know, what I mean, it's, but it is funny though, like seeing how you guys bring up how quickly people can get right back on the bandwagon after they, like I said, I watch, again, sum it up real fast. I watch a Flyers team to kind of like from late February up till late till May. Be the talk of the town. Meanwhile, I've heard people say hockey stupid, blah blah blah. They're a back burner team in the city. As soon as they got on a run, man, it just
people became diehards. Yep.
Yeah, people found themselves back onto the ship, and they found that after being alone on an island, they knew how to get back on this cruise ship right ASAP. So, but what though? Listen, it's good sports radio talk. But Michael, first of all, everyone, I want to say, you guys, if you haven't done already, give my man Michael Lala Jr. a follow. He does a great job covering all the news out there in Colorado. You can see right there at KUNC Radio 91.5 FM. You guys can listen to him. He's a great friend of mine. Been chopping on. He could talk it all. He could talk soccer, lacrosse. I catch him everywhere over there in Colorado.
Oh yeah, and I was just at the Rockies game last night, so I cover all the Denver teams out here. Even though I tell everybody though, I live in Colorado. I cover the sports teams, but when the New York teams come out here to play the Denver teams, I show my allegiance to my New York teams all day, every day. That's just the way it is. But I only keep it only when it's only appropriate for the job. When I'm on the job,
yes.
When I'm working, I'm a fan. So that's
Michael. Real quick, what is your Nuggets going to do? Is it a rebuild now? I mean, you were at the pinnacle. You guys, are falling apart here ever since the head coach got fired. What is the key to the Nuggets coming back and rebuild that Nuggets team? I mean, you got a great roster, but
David Adelman's still the head coach, and I'm actually surprised that David Adelman is still the head coach. Believe it or not. I think a lot of people around here were calling for his head after they lost that series against the Minnesota team that didn't even have two of their best players.
Yes.
And that is something that this is not going to buy around here in these parts. People are a little frustrated now because since they won the chip 3 years ago, they have just not been the same Nuggets team. They made some changes. They made some trades. They had to get they canned Michael Malone, which I didn't think was a smart move, but they did. They brought in David Adelman, and that hasn't done much right now for them. Joker did say he wants to stay in Denver, but if you want to keep that man happy, you better build around him because the West is going to get tougher now. The West is going to be a lot tougher for Denver now. You got Minnesota, you got OKC now, you got the Spurs. It's going to be a much tougher conference next year, and if the Nuggets want to be back in that position to win a championship, they may have to make some trades this offseason. I'm hearing they might be shopping Christian Brown around because they need to get some more depth and they need to get some more defense. I've always said this: the Nuggets score a lot of points, but they give up a lot of points. Like, you can't do that. You can't just outscore the opposition and not play defense. I've been saying that for the last 2 years. You have to play defense in the NBA. You can't just score 100-something points and the other team scores close to a little over 100 points and you win by 4 or 5 points. You got to play defense.
Agree.
They don't.
Agree with that. Take me back to the 80s, man, where defense was something special.
Oh, let me tell you. Take you back to the 80s. Take you back to all that when these guys, and even with SGA tonight, he was flopping. Did you see that? The first game that he was flopping.
Yeah.
Guys back in that day did not tolerate that mess. These guys today would not last 5 minutes, Paul, in the 80s and 90s era of NBA basketball because they would get knocked under keister really quick. Like, I would love to see the likes of a Dennis Rodman or a Kevin McHale or any of those guys play against Draymond Green or SGA, and I would love to see them have their moments with them and watch how quickly that would all change because they wouldn't tolerate that.
Michael, I always say this: like back in the '80s, there was no such animal called a flagrant foul. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to call it. There was no such animal.
No, that's how basketball's played.
Exactly. You go to the line with a broken leg. That's just a common foul, brother. That's all it is. Now it's a flop, and you're suspended for 4 games now. A foul off a flop. It's insane to me. It really is.
Well, they changed the league, and the league has changed that now. The other day, they put out a statement about the draft now because they're saying that teams that now
I seen that. Yeah.
And I think that's a good rule they put out because a lot of teams are doing that now. It's like stop tanking to get the number 1 pick.
Yes.
Play the season like you're supposed to, and just get your pick wherever it comes up. Don't try to cheat your way to the top pick. I agree with that policy.
I agree. I think the worst team should get it, but there has to be some kind of. You got to look at load management too. When you're battling, let's say the Knicks and the Sixers are the worst teams in basketball, and you're playing a bad team. Don't sit all your players because that tank comes into a play there too. I hate that. I hate it.
It's obvious when you're tanking because your roster's good, but it's obvious when you're tanking because your team is a lot better than what you're playing as. You're doing it because anybody can see. Oh no, they're tanking. Agreed. Just like SGA was like that. That was a flop. Come on. The league, by the way, that was flopping. It's like, do you really think that the guys back in the 80s and 90s would have allowed that? SGA would have been on his keys to the next play on the court.
No way.
Can I ask Michael one question? Speaking of old school, real quick. Michael, real quick, you're old school, man. You're 45. I'm 55. Pat's still a young buck in the world here.
We still give Pat the benefit of the doubt, though. We can bring him.
Yeah, he's like my third son. I love him to death. But, I'll give him the pass on there. But Michael, who is the GOAT in the NBA? Is it LeBron James or Michael Jordan? Honestly, and you're
no. I'm going to answer that question right now, and I'll die on the show. Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Thank you.
Now, I'll give you a little bit of context if I get a little bit. Let me just give this to you real quick. One of my favorite basketball college coaches of all time, the late great Bobby Knight, had a segment where he mentioned.
Yes.
He made
IU.
I'm a big Bobby Knight fan, and I have to work with him too. He was like people say what they want to say about Bobby Knight, but when I work with him, he was not the Bobby Knight that people thought that he was. That they saw on TV. I'm like, no, this Bobby Knight is a lot more common than what you used to see on him being on TV on the sidelines. But anyway, he had a way of breaking down what the coach were in basketball, who was the most important figures in basketball.
Yes.
He said the best player was Michael. The most valuable player was Bill Russell. The most smartest player was Red Auerbach.
Oh, the GM too.
Think about those 3 names and what they did for the game itself. Bill Russell, 11 championships, player, coach. Red Auerbach, the dynasty in Boston, and then he took that GM role and turned that team further into a dynasty with the Larry Bird era as well. And we all know about what Michael did. Michael was in college schooling the NBA players. If you go on YouTube, I tell guys, go on YouTube and search 1984 Olympics when Michael was still coming out of college and he was schooling NBA players. Yes. There was a game he was playing against Magic Johnson where he outscored them. And these were rookies out of college beating up on these NBA veterans. Michael was well ahead of his time before he even went to the NBA. So I'm like, if you're going to do that, then do your research. Look it up. This is not fiction. This is what he did. And I say this all the time to these young bucks, like, why don't you go take that smartphone and go on YouTube and go search? Coming right off the gates about Michael Jeffrey Jordan because he was the guy before he went to the pros. I mean, even Bobby Knight said he's the best player of all time. He said before he went to the pros, like he was going to be the greatest of all time. So
I heard the comment even at Laney High School, he was still far beyond college players at Laney High School and high school.
He was well ahead of his prime before he went to the pro ranks, dude. It was like he was built to be the GOAT because. No knock on LeBron either. People always say, oh, you don't like LeBron. No, LeBron James is a great player. I have nothing against LeBron James. The all-time greats. But if you're going to compare the GOATs, and I know Michael did an interview, and I only saw this a few weeks ago. He was on CBS this morning with an interview about his work at NASCAR. Now he's winning at NASCAR. He's already got 3 Cup championships. But he was asked this question from Gayle King about what it means to be the GOAT, and Michael quickly refuted that. Like, there's no such thing as a GOAT to him. He's being modest, but everybody's saying, no, dude, you are the GOAT, and you know it. We get that, but in our eyes, what you've done for basketball and what you've done to revolutionize the game, we think you are the GOAT.
Wow.
That's as I'm standing on that hill right now.
Michael, I want to say real quick before I know Pat's going to get out of here. I would love to pick your brain because I was born in Indianapolis, and my dad, I lived in Indianapolis, Indiana, right across from the Indianapolis Piper and Speedway. My dad used to take me to Assembly Hall. My favorite coach is Bobby Knight. I would love to pick your brain about him.
Oh, you can pick their brain because
my
I all kinds of stories about Bobby Knight, what we used to talk about, and what He used to be surprised what I used to know about him because I used to watch his videos. All his videos on his coaching techniques and all his different plays and all his different schemes he used to run. I used to rehearse them. He was kind of impressed. I said, no, because I love basketball. Basketball is my number one favorite sport. So I eat, breathe, and sleep that sport. I watch all the plays. I've played it. I've done work for it. I've covered it. So I know the game.
So you must be a hell of a screen guy because Bobby Knight was the key screen game all over around pick screen everywhere, huh?
There was one play I used to tell him that I used to watch a lot that he was surprised I knew about. It was called the 5-man change. You ever saw that play?
I know what you're talking about, yes.
The 5-man change was my favorite offensive drill he used to run. Because everybody was moving and constantly moving. There was no stopping. Everybody knew where they were at on the floor at all times. He used to say communication is the part of the game that is becoming a lack of today because you got to talk to everybody on that court at all times. That's why the Knicks are in the championship because they communicate. Everybody knows where they're at on the floor. Where is everybody supposed to be? Your position and the plays are calling out. Know where your number's called and where you're supposed to be at all times. That's why Bobby Knight was such a great coach because he was built on telling his players communicate at all times so that you know where you're supposed to be when we're making a play either on offense or on defense. And that was success.
You know, Michael, there was a movie called Hoosiers back in the day. I could have swore that was about Bobby Knight, what you said there, because
communication,
I thought
so too, actually.
Ball movement. We practice without a ball until you get it right. We need to know where every man is on this court, 5 men as one. Practice without a ball. That reminds me of Bobby Knight. Fundamentals, communication. That was Bobby Knight to me.
Well, that's what he was. He was a big time. He always tell you that. That's why he was always yelling. Everybody thought, oh, why is he always yelling? He's yelling because he's trying to get his players to listen. Communicating with you. You need to communicate with your teammates. There's 5 of you on the court. Also, you need to know where you're at all times when you're running against an offensive or a defensive scheme, because that's what's going to allow you guys to be connected to the game and connected to the team and the play because you know where you're at. And he was always telling his guys, I'm going to yell and scream because I want you to hear me, and you need to make sure that they hear you. And you look at his drills, he was always like that. Know where you're at on the court. He's always telling you, go move there, go there, go here, go there, go there, run this play, run that play, follow that play.
There was a reason why he was called the general. I mean, I used to live next door to a guy named Damon Bailey. I don't know if you remember that name. Freshman coming in.
Yes.
Yes, my grandfather used to live right next door to him, Damon Bailey, when Bobby Knight recruited him.
Well, there you go. There you go. I mean, people in that circle will tell you a lot about Bobby Knight. And as I said, people used to think that he was this evil, maniacal person. But I said, nope, not the Bobby Knight I used to work with. I said he might have been like that because, for one, he had a squeaky clean program. Never had a scandal with any of his programs, by the way. Never. Maybe that's why he was so adamant about keeping the media away from his players, because he didn't want to buy into that whole, players getting impermissible benefits and all other nonsense they were getting back in the day. And by the way, no team so far has come close to becoming a perfect team.
Undefeated. You're right. Undefeated still. That's right. IU.
The last team that came there was Gonzaga. Gonzaga was the last team that came close, but they lost to Baylor. So Bobby Knight still holds that distinction to be the only team in college basketball to have a perfect season and a championship.
Yep. Did you lose respect when he went to Texas Tech, though?
No, because you know what? It was a bit, listen, that whole scandal that happened in Indiana, I mean, he went to Texas Tech and he still built them into a contender. You saw that. They got better. So it wasn't like he regressed. I mean, he was still the same Bobby Knight. He just went to a different school, but they got better when he got there.
True.
They were a huge. I mean, they didn't achieve that level of success, obviously, like he did at Indiana. But they were still pretty competitive at Texas Tech when he was a head coach.
Agree with that.
Yes, listen, man, you guys are just picking my mind about all college hoops right now. All college hoops.
I'm a college guy all the way anyway, guys. I always tell everybody I'm a college hoops guy, first NBA guy. Second. I mean, I love college basketball. March is my favorite time of the year, if you ask me. I'll get you. Although I don't know why there's 76 teams now.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I got to answer you a couple questions, Mike. First of all, who is fandom aside, all that? Who do you have winning this series, and what? You think it's a gentleman's sweep? Do you think it's going to be 6-7? Who do you think? And number two, I imagine you're going to be down at the Colorado game covering the Rockies and Giants. What is? I asked this to everyone. What's going to be the meal of the day?
Oh, the meal of the day is going to be. Well, the meal of the day last night was we were watching in the press room area when they had the game on in the press room at the Rockies game. They had the Spurs and OKC game on, and then after that we went back and watched the Rockies win last night. So I mean, they're going for the series sweep this afternoon, and then they got to go on the road after that. But going back to my pick, it's going to be Knicks in 6. If the Knicks sweep this series, if the Knickerbockers sweep this series in 4 games, I don't know if you might have to put a cover over Lower Manhattan because they're going to lose it. And you know what? The rest of the national media is going to be eating their words the next day because I'm already seeing people on my timeline talking all that mess. Oh, the Knicks are going to get beaten by this team in 6. Okay. I'm like they say, the kids say, I'm keeping receipts. I got receipts. I'll be pulling the receipts when it happens.
Yeah.
I got the names. I know who you are. I see you on my timeline. I'm taking notes. So you better hope that your predictions are right, because if they're not, I'm coming back and turn off your notifications because you're not going to get tired. You're going, especially if they win. I'm telling the both of you right now, turn off your notifications because I am not going to let up on posts all over the place should the Knicks win this championship. I'm going to have a field day like you wouldn't believe.
You know what? Michael is old school, man. I love this guy because you know what? Knickerbockers, I haven't heard that term in so long. And the only time I hear it is the OGs that know the Knicks.
The Knickerbockers,
Yes.
David Fisher, Bill Bradley, Walt Frazier, Willis Reed.
Yes, sir.
People forget Phil Jackson was part of that team.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
So I know. So that's how you know I'm not a fair weather fan. I've been with this team since I was born. I knew about the history. I grew up in that area. When I was born in New Jersey, I was never a New Jersey sports fan. I didn't like the Nets when they were there. I didn't root for the Devils. I didn't root for Rutgers. I didn't root for Seton Hall. I didn't root for any of those Jersey teams because they were never that good. Number one, the teams across the Hudson were always a better team. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to root for those teams then. And I'm glad I stuck with my convictions because the Nets, I was telling somebody the other day, is like, look what the Nets are doing now across the way in Brooklyn. They're not doing anything since they moved over there. They have done nothing like they were in New Jersey.
Agree.
Meanwhile, here we are getting ready to win the championship.
In the sports mecca of the world, the MSG.
MSG, baby. It's about to go down. So listen,
guys. Let me tell you something. If you're trying to go to a game out there next week, I mean, in games 4, 3, and 4, you better have a nice little savings plan because you think the World Cup tickets are going to be expensive. You think about that, and then you look at the Knicks tickets. They're going to be probably just as much as the World Cup tickets.
Yeah, you're going to have to sell your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th kid, and one's not even born yet.
I'm telling you, man.
We're talking nosebleed. We're talking nosebleed, too. Yeah, we're talking nosebleed.
It's going to be a circus out there next week with the World Cup and the Knicks in the final. It's going to be crazy out there in that part of the city, man. You're going to have to be – it's going to be a madhouse. It's going to be fun, but you better have some serious pocket money if you're going to be out there spending because it's going to cost you a pretty penny to enjoy some games out there.
And not just that, if you're smart, like you said, we got an all-star game coming here in Philly. We have FIFA between Philly and New York. You're about to have a showdown up in New York. You might want to stay away from 95 regardless.
Or just take the SEPTA up there, or take the NJ Transit.
Hey, Michael, real quick, you said Knicks in 6 though. You said Knicks in 6. If that's the key thing that happens here, give me 2 players. Give me your MVP and give me your X factor for the Knicks to solidify an NBA championship. Larry O'Brien this year.
Would be Jalen Brunson all the way because
who's your X factor then?
X factor would probably be OG. And I said
defense wise,
I think so because with him out there, he's been a difference maker too.
Okay,
I would put Mitchell Robinson out there, but I think OG is going to be a key factor to look at.
I agree with that. And where did he play? IU, right? Yep, that's right.
Hey, see how we're connecting here with all this Indiana talk. Now you see
I know.
Now you see. Now you're catching on there, young blood.
Well, listen, Mike, we appreciate you hopping on. This has been a great episode of the Pat and Paul Show. Again, guys, give my man Michael Lala Jr. a follow on all the social media platforms. Right there, again, check him out there in Colorado. The atmosphere might be thin out there, but he brings the entertainment. Again, New York native, just wearing his Knicks sleeve, wearing the Knickerbockers on his sleeves right now. And I think for the first time in forever I can remember, I think a lot of Philly fans are going to be rooting for the Knicks here because
we appreciate that, which I find a little awkward after we just swept you guys, but at least you guys staying true to your convictions about the players that come from Philadelphia, which I admire.
Hey, Michael, real quick, is 5,280 thing, is that real out there?
It is. Is it really? And I'll tell you why. I'll make a quick time. You guys got to go. But a couple of years ago, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you remember the story because I actually covered it. The Sixers came out here for training camp.
Yes.
They came out here to Colorado State and had a training camp session out here, not too far from where I'm at here in my station in Fort Collins. So they looked at that as an opportunity to get them understanding how to play in these elements. But that's why a lot of teams don't like to play here because that air out here is very thin. And if you're not used to breathing and having like lung problems and all that, it will affect you because we are 5,280 feet above sea level out here. This air is no joke out here. It's really thin. Why do you think Rockies games are always high scoring at Coors Field? because the ball travels through that thin air like it's a basketball.
Because I always question it. I know there's like 3 or 4 NBA players that cannot travel to out there. That it's in their contract that they cannot play in the altitude, health wise. I've always
Joel Embiid has never played out here. Why doesn't Joel Embiid come out here and play?
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
I thought that was why they had training camp. I said maybe because they want to get Joel Embiid to play in the elements out here, but he has not played out here. So then why did he come out here then?
Because he still thinks he's better than the Joker as MVP. Okay, he don't want to battle the Joker out there. That's the reason
why.
Who
has a championship right now?
That's true.
That's
true. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm telling you, and I don't think Joker minds the elements of the air.
He plays. He plays. Yes.
He cares about his horses more than anything. He was actually at the match yesterday against France and Arsenal. He was actually cheering on Arsenal yesterday.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's wild. So, but listen, guys, check out my guy Michael Al Jr., my man Paul Spencer. This has been a great episode of the Pat and Paul Show again. Michael, thank you so much for hopping on, man. You are absolutely great, and I appreciate you, brother. Always, anytime you want to hop on, you're more than welcome. If you want to come up here, celebrate, you're more than welcome to rub it in our face. We're used to it right now.
No, I'm not gonna rub it in, guys. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm just happy to be a fan and be a part of this run, and I'm happy to be alive to see it. Because let me tell you, a lot of people I know wish they could be allowed to see this run right now for the Knicks, but it would culminate in the championship that would make it even more feasible. Because now I can say that I've seen all my favorite teams in the New York area win a championship. The Knicks, the Rangers, the Yankees, the Giants, they finally all got it. So now I'm at peace after that.
Yeah, listen,
Michael, real quick, respect. Pat knows me for many decades, 3 decades going on plus, I always respect people that don't jump ship and are true to their team. And you're a true testament, brother. Great talking to you, great meeting you. I respect it, man, because you're a true fan of the game, true fan of your team. You've never moved on from them, and you know your crap, man. So I respect you 100%, brother.
Well, I appreciate that, brother. Likewise, you guys run a good show over there. Keep it going. Keep up the greatness. I see your stuff as well. Hey, you know what? Philadelphia is not this. They know that you guys are the pinnacle of sports talk. You ask me. I know they know there. Oh, I know you gotta get these guys to listen because they're just as good, like 97.5, the Fanatic, and whatever else they got out there. WIP.
Appreciate you.
I'm
Appreciate
like, no, you guys gotta listen to these guys because they keep it 100.
Yeah, we try to listen. Like I said, you guys are enjoying that New York Knicks cruise going on. Meanwhile, me and Paul and the 76ers crew vomiting because it's not going anywhere. It stinks. The boat's completely.
We got the World Cup to help you guys, right? The World Cup's coming out there soon, so at least you got that to fall back on.
And Pat, you got UFC coming up pretty soon too. You got
the Phillies still. Well, the Phillies. I'm sorry, let me leave the Phillies out.
Yeah. Listen. I know you cover the Rapids out there, Michael. But yeah, even the Union is pretty bad when they fired Bradley Cornell too. But listen,
ain't doing that better either, guys. I mean, we had a couple. We lost our last match before the break now, so we're still like kind of. I mean, we had the best footballer come out here last month when they played against Inter Miami, when Lionel Messi came out here and broke our hearts. He had a brace in that match against us. So there you go.
Yeah, I think that's the only time these players ever show up, and then after that, it's going to be over. But anyway, guys, this has been a great episode. Again, guys, if you haven't done already, give my man Michael Lyle a cover. And if you haven't yet, tune into KUNC Radio 91.5 FM and give him a listen, man. I can't wait to dial in to listen to you, Mike. Michael, thank you so much, and enjoy your Sunday, my friend.
Pat, Paul, always a pleasure, man. Thank you so much. Likewise, and
appreciate you.
Let's enjoy this NBA Finals series coming up.
And you know what, Michael? Even though I got the Spurs winning it, so I'm going to give you the respect and say go Knickerbockers. Okay,
that's okay. Listen, you're entitled to that. It's all good. I like that the Knicks. Listen, everybody should know now. I'm not surprised the Knicks are the underdog in this series. I get that. It's okay. We're fine with that. We like that. That's what makes us. That's what's going to motivate them to play even harder.
House money, man. House money, Michael.
That's
money.
Right. House money. You got it.
All right, guys. Enjoy your weekend, guys. We'll be back here next week, and who knows, Mr. Lyle, we could be talking, open day football. We'll have to have you on and talk a little Giants. It'll be open day versus Paul's Cowboys.
Well, Paul, I'm gonna leave the Cowboys out of it because Paul's been a long-suffering fan like Knicks fans aren't, so we're kind of in the same boat right now.
Yeah. 30 years, man. Anniversary,
yeah.
30 years.
But see, 30 years for you, it's been 50-something years for us, so you kind of got to be about 20 years. We'll give you that.
There we go. Respect.
There you go. All right, guys. Have a good afternoon, and we'll catch you later.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.